And I'll share my screen. Okay, so welcome to the September Montana Accessibility Interest Group webinar. We're happy to have people from a variety of different states with us this morning. Thank you for joining us. Today, Erin Page and I will be presenting the massive open online course that we developed over the past year called the Accessibility MOOC, Inclusive Online Course Design. So I'm Senior Instructional Designer and Accessibility Specialist at the University of Montana. And Erin?
My name is Erin Page, and I am also an accessibility specialist with the University of Montana.
So we have put a lot of hours into developing a course where we model universal design for learning and show best practices for accessible course design, and we're happy to share that with you today. Since I can't see the chat and because of Erin's screen reader interruptions with the chat, we'll, if we can just hold all questions and hold all chat messages to the end, and then we'll leave about 10 minutes for questions from you after we finish giving you a sneak preview. So let me just start by saying that we all understand the significance of inclusive online course design and the importance of making sure all students have access to course content at the same time without having to ask for special accommodations. And Erin, you recently graduated. You had an experience as a student when course materials and online courses were accessible or they were not accessible. And I wonder if you could just speak about that experience.
Yeah, so as a student, I dealt with, a wide variety of courses that ranged in terms of their accessibility. One course in particular, though, a course that I took on consulting, they took really good advantage of the learning management system. All of the documents were accessible and were posted within the learning management system. The quizzes and exams were administered via the learning management system and were set up in a way that was accessible. All of the readings were put up there and were accessible. So for this one class, I literally did not have to contact disability services one time. I didn't have to request accommodations for exams. I didn't have to request alternative formats for documents. I literally took the same quizzes and the exams in the same room at the same time as everybody else. And that really should be the goal, is to just eliminate that need for students to request accommodations, which can be very demeaning.
Right, and also it can impact grades and lots of other things when students don't have equal access to the online course content. So our overall goals in designing the MOOC were to model inclusive practices so that all students have clear understanding, all students in the MOOC, our students have a clear understanding of accessible online course design and delivery. And Erin, your big goal was
we wanted to create something that was both visually engaging and accessible.
Right.
So often people, when they think of accessible and something that's accessible, they think of black and white text. And we wanted to prove that you can create something that was visually engaging and highly accessible to users of assistive technology.
Right. Our target audience, we were asked by Blackboard to target K-12 teachers and higher education educational institutions, but really anyone interested in online course design can benefit from this course. We've had people from the corporate world in our pilot MOOC. We've had lots of different people that aren't really working exactly in K-12 and higher ed participate in the MOOC and get good information out of it. So if you're sharing this information with other people, be sure and let them know that really our audience this is intended for a very broad audience.
So for anybody who's heard Marlene and I do presentations, one of the first presentations that we do is we do what we call our 4 key principles. And those 4 key principles are headings, use of heading structure, alternative text for images, proper use of lists and tables, and the creation of descriptive hyperlinks. And so those 4 key principles are applied very consistently.
And Aaron, we just lost your audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. I think I elbowed the mute button on this microphone. So anyway, our 4 key principles are they're applied consistently all throughout this course. One other thing I'll mention before we get into our sneak peek of the MOOC is just the structure of this. So this is designed to be a 4-week moderated MOOC. So there are 4 weeks, 5 topics. 1 week goes over 2 of the topics. And then each week has various activities and different opportunities for you to engage with us as the instructors. Each week has a half-hour open office hour where we're available here in Blackboard Collaborate for the participants to come in and ask us any questions or voice any concerns that they may have. And then there's also discussion forums that were very active during our pilot. We were very impressed by how active those discussion forums were. And you were able to interact with Marlene and myself in there as well. So Marlene,
Great.
you want to do a sneak peek?
I do. Let me just tell you that the course is open for enrollment now. So we've closed everything off. If you might see that it says not published to students by every topic, and this enrollment complete language on our landing page here. That's because we haven't opened the full course up. So you'll just have to ignore that. But the course topics, as Aaron mentioned, we kept it very limited and focused. So the first topic is course overview. Topic 2, working with text. Topic 3, working with data. Topic 4, working with images. Topic 5, working with audio and video, and 6, working with uploaded content. And we did add a topic 7 with additional resources that provide the go-to conferences and organizations and websites where we find some of our best information. We wanted to share that with everyone who takes the MOOC. So let me just show you what a topic looks like. I'm going to go into topic 4, working with images, and I will, you'll see all of this editing language because I'm in as an instructor, so just ignore all the editing that you're seeing. As students, that won't be visible. But in working with images, we start every topic out with an aspirational video so that we engage participants with an understanding of the topic. And video doesn't come through well on Collaborate Ultra, but we do have a show transcript feature in the course because some people don't like to watch movies. They would rather just read the content that's covered in the movie. So we provide the option to see the movie and hear the movie with captions or just read the transcript. And this movie is meant to be part of Universal Design for Learning, which is multiple means of engagement. So we're working with engagement here. And I'll just read this transcript. It's only 40 seconds long. It's very, very brief. Images provide an excellent way to break up text-heavy online content and illustrate concepts. The meaning conveyed in images must be available to all participants, including users who may not see the images. Alternative text and image captions convey image-related information to this audience and are also helpful for users who may not understand the images or users who may prefer textual rather than graphical representations of concepts. This topic provides guidance for dealing with decorative images, meaningful images, and complex images. So after that 40-second video, you come down into the 3 focus areas: decorative images, meaningful images, and complex images. And every topic is organized in this exact same fashion that I'm showing you here. I'm going to go into complex images and show you how each of these focus areas is organized. So we use the book feature, and I might say this MOOC is LMS agnostic. We designed it in Moodle Rooms, but all of these principles and ideas and tools are applicable to any LMS, any of the major ones. But we use the book tool here because it provided a table of contents and a clear way to structure our information in terms of chapters. So let me just go through this book with you. Every book has an introduction, and the introductions are usually just a couple paragraphs that set the stage and prepare people for what we're going to cover in that particular book. And we always end the introduction with the key terms. In this case, with complex images, the key terms were alternative text and long description. Then in chapter 2, we provide guidance in terms of how to provide alternative text for complex images. So you'll see I've got a screenshot here of where in the text editor you provide the alternative text, which is still brief, even though the image is complex, like a diagram or a map or a political cartoon, an art object. All of those are complex images. And so we talk about providing short alternative text within the image properties of the text editor, but then we talk about providing long descriptions. And I contacted NASA and they said, yes, use our water cycle example. And here we have a complex image of the water cycle taken from NASA's Precipitation Education website. And the alternative text for this complex image, where you can see a lot of things are going on. The water is evaporating and then condensing and going down into rivers and streams and groundwater, and then going back up through evaporation into the atmosphere. It's a complex cycle. And this image has a lot of words within it, as well as graphics. So even though the alternative text is only diagram of the water cycle, the long description would be a paragraph under the image, above it, that provides everyone with access to the meaning in this image, the purpose for why you as an instructor would put this image in for your particular audience. So I provided the long description that is actually on the website with the image, and I'll just read it briefly. The water cycle describes how water evaporates from the surface of the earth, rises into the atmosphere, cools and condenses into rain or snow and clouds, and falls again to the surface as precipitation. The water falling on land collects in rivers and lakes, soil, and porous layers of rock. Much of it flows back into the oceans where it will once more evaporate. The cycling of water in and out of the atmosphere is a significant aspect of the weather patterns on Earth. So here we're actually demonstrating to people how to deal with complex images. We want people to use complex images, but the meaning in those images has to be accessible to everyone in any online course. In chapter 3, then, we provide more information about deconstructing complex images. So Brian Gould from the National Center for Accessible Media did a presentation, and he gave us permission to show some small short video clips of his work with deconstructing images like bar graphs, 3D images, a text-heavy poster, maps, line graphs, illustrations and cartoons, and flow charts. And when those images are clicked on, then Brian Gould's deconstruction of how to deal with those kinds of images comes up. So we really tried to provide people with some good guidance on complex images, because there are sometimes it's very hard to break an image down and really provide a concise, long description. And then we have additional resources in this chapter, links from the NCAM website and links from the Diagram Center, which both have some very, very useful webinars and resources for working with complex images. Chapter 4 in this book then gives an example of how an assistive technology, such as someone using screen magnification and magic, uh, might interact with the complex image that has text in it and that may not have adequate color contrast. And because playing this movie through the uh, Blackboard Collaborate just wouldn't come through well, I won't play the movie, but in every place where it was meaningful, we provided examples of um, assistive technologies interacting with content and what difficulties they might run into and what issues to really keep in mind. In this case, it's adequate color contrast and working with that image-based text so that if it becomes unreadable when it's magnified, the long description definitely needs to incorporate that text. So that's an example of how we used assistive technology examples within books, and Erin's going to talk more about assistive technologies in just a minute. And then the final chapter, chapter 5 in this book, is a conclusion, and every book ends with a conclusion. So really good writing, with these books, we start out with an introduction, we set the stage, we tell you what we're going to talk about, then we write several chapters and actually go into detail about each particular important issue, and then we conclude every book and state again what you should remember. What are the key principles to take away from this particular book? So that's how we set this up. I'm going to return back to the course homepage with the title of the course in this case is a heading 1, and it's also a link back to the course homepage, which is very convenient. But notice we have those topics: text, data, images, audio, video, and uploaded content. All of those topics have, and even course overview, they have 3 focus areas, and every focus area goes into a book with chapters. So there's 18 total books in the course, and we wanted to chunk the information so that people could easily find their way back to review something that they might want to go back and revisit. And we wanted clear pathways for getting back to content, and we wanted to avoid clutter. So we felt that using the table of contents in the books and the focus areas in the topics and keeping the topics really concise was our way to really help our learners clearly understand how to design an accessible and inclusive online course. So Erin, I'll let you go on again after that sneak preview.
Oh, can you hear me again?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Excuse me. So, Marlene mentioned, pretty much just went over all of this, but I'll just reiterate that one of our biggest priorities in the way that we designed this course was that we really wanted it to be consistent. We wanted people to be able to, once you get the overall layout of this, you should be able to navigate your way around without any issue. Managing to navigate is, can be kind of difficult sometimes in Moodle if you're a screen reader user, and we really wanted to avoid that. We wanted to provide a good, consistent appearance, and so that's why, as Marlene showed you when she went and did the sneak preview, every topic always has 3 focus areas. Every focus area always has an introduction and a conclusion. Almost all of them also have demonstration videos demonstrating the concepts that focus area is talking about using different assistive technologies. We always have consistent heading structure. You always have that heading level 1 link that will return you back to the course itself. You always have the titles of your open topics as heading 2s. You always have a link to return you to the course topic. That experience is very, very consistent regardless of where you are throughout the entire course. And we also paid special attention to try and keep our terminology consistent as well. Just make sure we're always using the same terms to refer to everything, which was very helpful even just for Marlene and I in the designing of the course, because once we agreed on that structure and on that terminology, then we were really able to develop a shorthand when we were communicating with each other on the design of the course. I could just say, well, it's in working with text. Okay, she knows exactly where that is. So that consistency was helpful both for the participants and for us as the instructors. Marlene showed you in the sneak preview that we have demonstration videos all throughout the MOOC where we actually demonstrate the concepts that we're discussing in the various focus areas. Um, Anybody who's seen some of our live presentations, you will know that one of the ways that Marlene and I like to operate is we do a two-screen setup, where on one screen you can see Marlene's screen, the normal, typical view most people are used to seeing, and then on my screen you can actually see it with assistive technologies. Usually we'll have screen reading, screen magnification, and high color contrast enabled. And we've always found that to be very effective. It's very eye-opening when people can actually, we're not just telling you how to make it accessible, we're showing you what difference it makes by making it accessible, how that actually affects an end user. And usually we get really good feedback from that during our live presentations. And so we wanted to emulate that in an online setting. And so that took a little bit of thinking, but what we ended up deciding on were these short videos where we demonstrate the concepts. So for example, in headings, you can see a video demonstrating how headings apply to users of screen reading software. In the working with images, you were able to see how text contained within images distorts or pixelates when it gets zoomed in on using screen magnification. In some cases, some of the concepts apply to more than one type of assistive technology. So for example, in hyperlinks, we have two demonstration videos, one showing how descriptive hyperlinks impacts users of screen reading software, and another video demonstrating how that impacts users of speech to text. So in this case, we use Dragon Naturally Speaking.
And Aaron, if I can just interrupt, while you're talking, I'm navigating and I'm showing that example of descriptive hyperlinks using assistive technologies. So just wanted you to know that's on the screen right now in the book, Working with Text, and the focus area hyperlinks.
Okay, great. And so unfortunately here in this online setting through Collaborate, we can't show you guys some of the multimedia that we've got. Videos don't play particularly well through Collaborate. So we can't really show that to you, but yeah, please feel free to sign up for the MOOC, and we'd love for you guys to be able to see that. We really felt that was a good way of emulating that two-screen experience here in the online setting. So Marlene.
Yeah, so you can see we have a JAWS icon and a Dragon Naturally Speaking icon. And when I click on the JAWS icon, Aaron's video about how JAWS interacts with descriptive links open. If I click on the Dragon icon, then Devin Armstrong, who helped us with speech to text and Dragon Naturally Speaking, his video shows up. So that's how we work to emulate that two-screen presentation by talking about it and then showing 3 different assistive technologies. And we got pretty good feedback on that during the pilot we ran in June. So people said in the final comments, they said the demonstration videos were really helpful. So that was our way, as Aaron said, of not losing that two-screen presentation that we do in a face-to-face environment. So you can see, we haven't showed you everything we do with multimedia. We work with sonification of graphs in STEM content. We work with audio recordings of JAWS reading out math equations. So we have audio, video, sonification, lots of images and screenshots, and we wanted to show that using multiple means of representation, not just text in online courses, is really part of universal design for learning. And we have captions in the MOOC now, but we are also currently working on audio descriptions. And Aaron, you and I have learned a lot. We've talked to different organizations that do audio description, and it's just, I'm sure you would agree, Aaron, we've learned quite a bit about the whole issue of providing audio descriptions in an online course that's really actively using video content. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
it's been quite an experience learning about all the various types of audio description that can be created and all the different methods in which you can deliver audio description. So we haven't quite decided which approach we're going to take, but there will most definitely be audio descriptions in the October instance of the MOOC.
Right. Um, so that's been kind of a fun adventure for us. We feel the MOOC is going to always be incorporating new technologies and new ways to make things accessible, and we hope to be pushing the envelope in that regard. But we definitely have to have audio descriptions in here. That's a requirement. So in addition to multiple means of representation, we've also worked with multiple means of navigation, and I just want to show you that briefly. So in the books here, I have this hyperlinks book open, and you can see we have 10 chapters in this book. I can navigate through the table of contents. I can navigate through the heading 1 title of the course, which is a hyperlink back to the home page of the course. We also put a way to navigate back to the focus area itself. So we created this navigating back to topic icon. So if I click on this icon that's at the top of every chapter in every book in the course, it will take us back to just the focus area itself, which is working with text in this instance. So we put a lot of thought into, as Erin said, into consistent navigation, and that navigation is throughout the course for everyone's convenience. Erin had also mentioned that there's ways to engage with us and with other participants in the live MOOC. So I'm just going to go down and look at the activities in working with text. And the first one is a questionnaire that we provide, and in this questionnaire, we just ask people if they want to earn one of 2 certificates that are available for completing the MOOC. One's just a certificate of participation, and one is a certificate of full completion. And all that's outlined in our syllabus. So we provide certificates to those people who want them by participating in the MOOC. And to participate in the MOOC, you can request a demonstration sandbox course where, say we're on the week of working with text. In your sandbox course, you can play with working with text and add heading structure and do different things that we talk about in that topic. So people can either request a sandbox course in our system, or people can work in their own learning management system and actually revise an existing course they already have. And then if they do that, we conclude the MOOC with a workshop activity where people provide guest access to their sandbox course in whatever system they're in. And then in the workshop activity, 3 other people are able to go into your course and give you feedback, and 3 people go into your course and also give you feedback. So we provided a way for people to look at each other's work and get feedback from the work they were doing. And we tried to keep up with that. If people ask us specific questions about their sandbox course, we can go in and look around. But we really wanted people to practice and get feedback, especially those people who wanted a certificate. Then every topic has a practice quiz, optional. It is 6 questions, and we work to provide really rich feedback in the questions for the right answers and for the wrong answers, so that people could check their knowledge. It was really a way to check their knowledge with these 6-question practice quizzes. And then there's a Collaborate link to the live office hour that Erin mentioned, where we can engage in real time with people. And we used a choice activity to find out the best time for that live office hour, because we had people from all over the world actually take our pilot, and that's what we hope we will have for the MOOC, the actual MOOC in October too. Then Erin mentioned that we have forums, and the forums vary. The first forum is introduce yourself, and that's how we learned where people were, what they were doing, why they were taking the MOOC, and any other information they wanted to share, and where people could interact with each other and with us. And then every topic had a questions or comments forum. And Erin, wouldn't you say that was really a very busy forum for us? We had a lot of questions and comments that were very helpful, that kept us busy, right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, we did. There was a lot of activity in the forum, and I'll go over some hard numbers here in just a moment about the actual level of participation in the forums. But there was a lot of activity. It was a great source of feedback for the MOOC, a lot of which is going to be incorporated in this October run.
Okay, and Erin, I'm going to navigate now to the numbers for the June pilot.
Okay.
And so I've got that, the numbers and the certificate of completion requirements visible on the screen.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm very nervous about this mute button, so I'm always checking before I start talking.
Sure.
Uh, so, as Marlene mentioned, we concluded a pilot run of the MOOC in the month of June. We had capped the number of participants in the pilot at 100. We didn't want to let it get too big and too crazy while we kind of figured out the workflow and what automation requirements we would need and that type of thing. So we had a 100 participant cap. We got 93 participants in the end, so darn near filled up that course. It was great. 93 enrolled participants out of the 100. We had 94 threads in total across all of the various discussion forums, 45 of which were in introductions, 41 were in the questions and comments forum, and then 8 were in the final reflections discussion. And each of these threads contained anywhere between 2 and 10 different posts and replies.
So that was really great, the amount of engagement and interest we saw in those forums. And I mentioned that there were the 6 quiz opportunities in the topics. So there were 5 topic quizzes and then one final review quiz with 10 randomized questions. That could come from any of the other topics, and people could take that review quiz as many times as they wanted, and they'd get different questions every time. So that was another way for us to provide people with feedback on if they really had a full understanding of the concepts we had wanted to cover in the MOOC. And Erin, we talked about the online office hour. And I think we've kind of talked about the sandbox courses and the workshop activity, but we do have the certificate of completion requirements on the screen if you want to talk about that.
Sure. Are you still hearing me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So, as we mentioned earlier, we had 93 participants in the MOOC. When it came down to the actual certificates at the end of the course, we had 6 certificates of participation that were issued. And certificates of participation didn't really require much, just simply being in the course and attempting some of the practice quizzes. You didn't actually have to pass them or complete them, and a little bit of activity in the forums would get you that certificate of participation. And then to get the certificate of completion, though, you did have to actually complete the workshop activity, do peer review of some of the other participants' work. So 6 certificates of participation, and we had 6 certificates of completion as well. And Marlene should have up on the screen there, you can actually see some of those specific requirements that we had for the certificate of completion. So out of the group of 93 pilot participants, we issued out 12 certificates in total.
And mostly the requirements for being in the pilot was to provide us with feedback. So they gave us great feedback, but they weren't particularly interested in the certificate of completion, apparently. Either that or we'll see in the full MOOC in October how much interest there is in actually receiving a certificate. I'm going to go down now to the feedback, just a summary of the feedback we got from our pilot participants. And areas for improvement. Course navigation, we thought it was pretty clear, but for people who were coming from other learning management systems like Learn or D2L, they weren't as familiar with Moodle and Moodle rooms, and they wanted a clearer understanding of course navigation. So we've made some adjustments there already. Some people did not understand the workshop activity and the sandbox course request that they needed to request that sandbox course very early on during the first week of the course. And so we're clarifying all that, and we're clarifying the workshop activity and making sure it kind of runs automatically through the different phases where you submit your work and then you receive feedback, and then the workshop activity closes. There was also some need for clarification of terminology. In Moodle and Moodle rooms, we use a text editor called Atto. And so we were talking about Atto. Other LMSs use the HTML editor or TinyMCE, and so that's just one example of how we need to make the terminology much more LMS agnostic. So we value that feedback. And we have some quotes on the screen here from participants. Erin, do you have access to that in your notes?
I do not. I am still just in the outline document.
Okay, I'm going to read, maybe I'll just read one of them for the sake of
Pick the
time here.
best.
I'm going to pick the middle one. I particularly enjoyed the videos of the assistive technology in action. Seeing the effects of poor design was a real wake-up call and made me even more aware of the importance of making courses and course material accessible to all. So that was one quote from one participant. And I'm going to navigate now to the parking lot. Erin, if you want to explain our parking lot and what we meant by that to you and I.
Yeah, sure. So as we've kind of talked about all throughout, so we ran that June pilot, and one of our big goals for the June pilot was to get as much feedback, positive and negative, as we could to try and beef up this course, even make it even better for the full run coming in October. And so we took the feedback as we got it and put it into what we refer to as a parking lot, where we could save ideas for future updates to the MOOC. We sorted the parking lot items using the Moscow method, which I did not hear about on an episode of Star Trek, I promise. And so the Moscow method is just sorting things out between your must-haves, should-haves, could have, or could use, and would be nice. So it's just a way of breaking those down into priorities for us. So you can see on the screen there the current parking lot that we've got, and that's actually not even complete. That doesn't have quite all of our parking lot items. That just kind of gives you an idea as to how we want this MOOC to be. We want it to be a living MOOC and to be constantly updated, and every run of it should be better than the last is what we're hoping for. So I'm just going to go over a couple of our really top priority parking lot items real quick. So the first one is the audio descriptions, and Marlene mentioned that earlier. We've already begun communicating with a few different vendors about audio descriptions. There will definitely be audio descriptions, but right now we're still kind of making the final decision on a few technical things. So, for example, whether to use synthesized or human speech, how we're going to go about providing access. Do we want to use a tool like Able Player to do it all in one wrapper, or would we rather keep it on YouTube where people are more familiar with it? So audio descriptions, and that's definitely going to be there in the October MOOC. Course navigation. So we do have a course navigation video. It's in our very first topic about this and focus area about this course. But it's a little bit buried there, and we're not sure that everybody got a chance to see it. So one of the things that we're doing is we're actually relocating that course navigation video. Marlene showed you how each topic has an aspirational video at the top. Our course overview aspirational video will now actually include the course navigation. So you don't even have to go into a focus area to see that navigation video, and we'll hope that that really helps with the navigation difficulties some people expressed. Increasing automation in order to scale up the size of the MOOC, including automating the sandbox course approvals, improving the registration process, and automatically awarding the certificates. So for the pilot, we just had 93 participants, but one of the things that we definitely noticed was, wow, every time somebody requests one of these sandbox courses, Marlene or I, as the instructors, have to manually go in and actually approve that request, which we had to do 90, potentially as many as 93 times for 93 participants. So we're hoping that we can find a way to automate that. From a technical standpoint, we've not been able to find any way within Moodle to make that happen. But we did streamline the enrollment process. For the pilot run of the MOOC, it was essentially a 6-step enrollment process where first you signed up on this form. You would then receive an email with your enrollment key. You then had to go and create an account. You then had to approve the account. You then had to go into the course. You then had to add in the enrollment key, and then you had to choose the option to get enrolled. That's all very much more streamlined now. Now it's a 3-step process. Create an account, hit the link to go into the course, hit the enroll me button, and boom, you're in. So we've already really streamlined that process. And then one other one that I'll mention is just beefing up some of the content sections. So we have that workshop activity. The concept behind that workshop activity is that participants should be going in and should be evaluating the accessibility of the other participants' content. But some of the feedback we got was, well, we didn't really go into a whole lot of detail about accessibility testing. And so one of the big sections that we're going to be adding for the October run is a section specifically on using some common accessibility testing tools, such as Wave or as the accessibility bookmarklets, and using those to actually test the accessibility of content in that workshop activity.
Great, thanks, Aaron. I am going to go down now and show our upcoming dates and how to self-enroll right now in the October-November MOOC. That's just really around the corner. So the first full MOOC will run October 15th through November 10th, 4 weeks. And the second one will run April 2nd through April 27th in 2018. So those are currently the 2 that are scheduled. And we're hoping Blackboard will want to run these MOOCs every full October, every full April. It works with their upgrade cycle. So we're hoping we can continue beyond April 2018 to continue providing this MOOC, and again, keeping it very current with the technologies and the assistive technology improvements that we're seeing. So updates about the MOOC will be posted on the Ally User Group website, and that URL is https://usergroup.ally.ac-dashboard. And if anyone wants me to email that out, when I email the list out that this recording is available, I will put these URLs in that email. The self-enrollment site that Aaron just talked about, how streamlined we've made it, that website, which you can go to right now and self-enroll, is http://accessibility.mrooms.net. And I'm going to go to that site, and you'll see what it looks like. And it will say, welcome to our MOOC. And have you already created an account? So you would go to the MOOC course page link, log in and create an account, and then you will be routed back to this page where you then click on go to the MOOC. And as Aaron said, then you just click on enroll me. And then what you should see, once you do that, you should see this homepage of the MOOC. All of the topics will be hidden, but you will see this enrollment complete. And that will tell you that you have successfully enrolled in the MOOC. And then we will be able to send emails out to those people who are enrolled. At the very beginning of October, we'll probably start sending emails out saying that we're preparing to open the MOOC and looking forward to working and keeping people updated with when the MOOC is actually open and ready to go. The first week will include course overview and working with text. So that first week will open those two topics. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen so I can come back and see the chat and all of you in Collaborate Ultra. And I think now if anyone would like to ask any questions, we have a good 10 minutes or so for questions. And you're welcome to use the chat, or you're welcome to use your microphone, whichever is easiest for you. So remember, this MOOC is free. You can come in and just view the MOOC. You don't have to participate. It's up to each participant what they want to get out of the experience. If they want to just read through the content and view all the content, or if you want to engage with us and participate in the activities, it's all voluntary. Lisa, thanks for your comment. Great presentation. I look forward to taking the MOOC and also recommending other faculty to join. Thank you. We really appreciate that from you at MSU, and we hope to hear comments from you about D2L and making sure that we're LMS agnostic. So thank you, Lisa. So Lisa, you can go to that URL and enroll yourself right now. Do email us if you have any problems with the enrollment process. Just email us directly. And I'm going to put my email address in the chat. I use a Gmail address for this MOOC just because I do it through my own consulting work, but you're also welcome to email me at the UMontana email address if that's easier for you and that's the one you have. Otherwise, marlene.zentz@gmail.com. Erin, would you like me to add yours? Or do you want your Gmail address in there?
Here, I'll go ahead and type her in there.
Okay, I finally memorized yours. Great, there you go. Great. Any other questions for us? Or comments? Appreciate you all staying around for almost the full hour here.
We need some Jeopardy music playing right now.
Yeah, so maybe we should just give our concluding remarks, Erin. We are really excited about this opportunity to reach out to a larger audience that's not bound by geographic location and have more extensive discussions with people about inclusive online course design. So this MOOC has really freed us up to not just do trainings on our own campus or presentations at conferences. This has really let us get beyond those geographic barriers. So it's a very exciting opportunity for us to engage with other people and learn from other people.
And as we mentioned, you all can hear me still, right?
Yes, we can.
And so as we mentioned earlier, one of our big goals with this MOOC was to create a course that was both visually appealing, engaging to the participants, and accessible. and we believe that we've done that, and we now have a really fantastic example that we can show anybody who's concerned, because so often there's that concern that, gosh, in order to make it accessible, I can't really use images and I can't use color, and it has to just be very bland, monochromatic. And we now have just a great example that we can show faculty, anybody who's has that concern, that things can be visually appealing and accessible both. There's no reason you can't have one without the other.
Right, and we might mention that with our budget, we were able to have other experts with multimedia and design join our development team. So we turned to Rick Hughes in media arts, and he really helped us talk through the structure of the whole course. That was really, we spent several weeks just talking about how to structure the course. And then we were able to hire media artist Joe Costello to do the graphic design. And you saw we had a lot of nice graphic design throughout the MOOC. And then we also hired Drew Ahrens, who was our videographer and helped us create all of the videos. So we were lucky to be able to reach out to a team of media art experts to help us create that multimedia engaging experience. So we want to thank them. And in our credits section of the MOOC, we definitely thank those individuals that helped in various aspects of the MOOC development. So if there are no other questions, no other comments, we appreciate you joining us today. I will email the list out and let people know when this recording is available. Lisa, if you are not on my list, please let me know, and I will add you if you want to be added. Anyone else, I think everyone else is already on the list that's here. So please just let me know. Okay. So I will send out an email next week when this recording is available. And if you have any problems if you're doing self-enrollment before my email comes out, feel free to email Erin or I. We are here to help with that process. So thank you again, and we look forward to staying in touch with all of you.
Thanks, everybody.